I'm going to ask you, what is the one important lesson you've learned from working with families that as other families may be watching this, or even other advisors, they can take and ponder, and maybe it's of value to them? What have you learned from all of your experience?
When I started this work, I thought that we were going to focus primarily on one question for families. And that question is, what difference do we want to make in the world? But the number one lesson that I've learned in working with those families is that there's an equally important additional question to that one. And that is, what difference do we want to make for ourselves? So it's by answering both of those questions, the external question out there, the internal question in here, that we can really help families thrive.
My answer to that question is somewhat different. And I have found, what I tell families is that, or what I know is going to happen, is that what they're telling me up front, probably there's different motivations for giving that are underlying all of their thinking. And the number one lesson that I've learned is I have to do a lot of deep listening to find out what all the family members are saying and sort of help them put that together, because they're always stuck on something, and how to digest all these different voices in the family to figure out one road to take that will help them get to where they want to go. And so it presents one way, but there's always something deeply underneath that. So I found that the process of listening is the number one ingredient that I find is the most useful to me as a lawyer and as a practitioner.
I think you're right, and I want to give you a great example of that. And that is, earlier I spoke about the woman who wanted her name on the building.
Great story.
It turned out that she didn't really care about the name on the building, but that underneath it all, she felt underappreciated by the community. She'd been very generous in lots of ways, and nobody paid any attention to her. And what she really was attempting to achieve by having her name on the building was helping people pay attention to her so that she would feel more appreciated and more valued. So it really wasn't about the name, it was about making sure that she could be so well recognized in the community as a donor that people would have to pay attention to her.
Am I correct in saying that it took a lot of listening and patience for that to come out?
Absolutely.
She just didn't blurt it out.
She didn't even know it herself.
And therein is a big lesson that I had to learn as a lawyer. Lawyers in trust and estates, primarily you're trained to tell people something, to tell people a solution. You have a tax problem, here's how you do your estate. This area of business is finding out the exact opposite, what families intrinsically value and want to do, and that takes time to come out, and you help them navigate to that point, whether it's the naming of a building or something else. So very different from being a traditional lawyer or a trial lawyer. Deep listening is a component of this.
Philanthropy is like